Hey everybody, welcome to Module 10. We're going to be talking about profile screens in this module. This will probably be two videos, one for the user's profile screen, our profile screen, and the other one will be when we are viewing someone else's profile. We kind of want those two screens to be different because they display different information, right? If I click on my profile, it needs to display the logged in user's information. And if I click on someone else's profile, it needs to show their information. So to do that, we need to create two different screens. So I'm here on my user's profile, and just to start out, let's add some options up here in the corner. So let's add maybe some text here. Maybe I want to give the user the option to log out. So let's just add some text here. All right, and then maybe we'll change the color and center this up a little bit. And then I'm just going to add an action here that if I go under more, I have an option here for user login, and I can just choose log out here. But in order for this to be successful, what we need to do is we need to also link it back to a screen after it's done so that the user has some sort of feedback about what they've just clicked on. We'll just actually link it back to the splash screen, which is kind of our welcome screen if you remember. So it's going to log the user out and then link back to the splash screen. Now let's add maybe like a message button over here because we want to, our users to have a way to get to their messaging. So let's just kind of pick a button here and pick an icon, and I think sent, yeah, this little paper airplane thing here. And maybe we'll just leave it gray. That's pretty good little color there, so that we have some color differentiation up here. All right, so we've got some buttons here. Actually, let's go ahead and link this. We'll go ahead and link this to. Okay, it doesn't look like we have that screen yet, but we can make that in just a second. But let's go ahead and build this out before we get too in-depth there. So let's go ahead and add the user's profile picture. All right. And the image source is going to be the database logged in users profile pic. So that's pretty simple there. The nice thing about pictures is that underneath this Edit Styles button, you can go in and change the width and the height of these pictures, manually instead of just having to re-drag this or drag these little handles. And then you can also change the rounding of this. So I'm just going to bump the rounding all the way up. You should notice that the width and the height does need to be divisible by 2 in order to get a consistent rounding. And you'll notice that 55 times 2 is 110. Let's say I had 111 and 111. That is not divisible by 2, so it's a little bit harder to get a perfect circle out of that. Just kind of a little tip there. All right, so we've got our profile picture. Let's go ahead and add the user's their name here. All right, and you can set this up, make it look however you want. You don't have to make it look exactly like this, but I'm going to change the text that's displayed here to be the logged in user's full name. All right, and maybe I want to make this bold so that it stands out a little bit, maybe a little bit bigger. All right, and let's add the person's username down below it. So I'm gonna Alt click and drag just like we have done in the past here. And instead of that, let's do the logged in user's username. And I don't want to make it maybe quite as big, so let's make this medium. We'll drop the size on down, and then we'll make this maybe gray or something like that. How about that? All right. Bump this up, and then maybe we want to put like their, the date that they joined. So let's another Alt click drag here, and let's change this data to be the logged in user's created date. So this is the created date of their user record, if you will. All right, so we've got that, and now that we've got these kind of two things here, maybe what I want to do is I want to display, on the actual, not the Gram app, on the real thing, you've got, your list of followers, those types of things. So let's go ahead and build that out in the database so that we can actually display that information here. So in the database, under the users collection, what we're going to do in order to create followers and following is we're actually going to create two properties, and they both have a relationship to the users collection itself. So we're creating a relationship to itself. So this is going to be a relationship to users. And this is where it can get kind of confusing. So a user can have multiple users, and it's just using the exact same thing. So we have to define what it is that we're talking about. So I've just added a property. Let's say I want to make that the followers, right? A user can have multiple followers, and those followers can also be following multiple people. I'll say that again. A user can have multiple followers, and each of those followers can be following multiple people. So what we want to do is we want to select this bottom option here, because both sides can have multiples of each other. All right, and before I do anything, I want to change this so that I know which one is which. And maybe we want to call this one followers. All right. Okay, so we've got a property there, and then now let's add one for following. These are people that I myself as a user are following. So we're going to do it the exact same way. This is going to be a relationship to users, and this is going to be the same thing, right? Because I can follow multiple people, and each of those people can also follow multiple users aside from myself. So I'm going to click this bottom option here, and we're going to name this one following. All right. And that's pretty much all we have to do to create that functionality. Now, we'll add some visibility rules when we look at the other profile page, but for now, that's pretty much all we need to do. So now on this page, what I'm going to do is we're going to display some information here about who they follow. And maybe I want to let's first display posts. So how many posts the user has. And then maybe up underneath it here, I want to display the logged in users post where they are the creating user. And if you kind of hover over this and leave your mouse there, you can see it displays kind of a tooltip where you can see exactly what that relationship is. So this is the logged in users post where they are the creating user. All right, and I'm going to count those. So we're counting the number of posts where I am the creator, basically. And let's go ahead and make these kind of centered here, and maybe we'll change the look and feel of this as well. So I'll make these maybe bold, and yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe we'll make this just a little bit smaller. All right, now what I want to do is I want to show the followers as well. So I'm just going to duplicate kind of this this format, if you will, and we're just going to change the text that appears here. So maybe I want to make this followers, and instead of post count, maybe I'm counting the logged in users, which is me, their followers, all right? And this is going to be a count as well. So we're counting the logged in users' followers, all right? So that's all there is to that, and then we're going to Alt-click drag again, and maybe this one is, we want to look at how many people I am following. So this is going to be the exact same thing, just we're going to be looking at the logged in users following count. All right, and that's all there is to that one. Let's go ahead and kind of center these up a little bit so that they look a little bit neater. Provide a little bit more spacing here. Just using the arrow keys. And then once I've kind of got something that looks good, I'm just going to grab kind of this whole chunk of stuff here, and let's just make it a group so that all that stuff kind of stays kind of chunked together. And then the next thing that I need to do is create an edit button here, because the user needs, to have a way to edit their profile. And I'm going to make it big, but I don't want to make it like super crazy obvious. So let's just make this outline. And again, you can make this any way you want. This is not a, a one size fits all. Maybe I just want to have that there. And we'll build out the edit screen here in just a second. But so I've got my edit there. And then the next thing that I may want to do is let's put kind of a rectangle behind all of this information here so that it stays right here, because we're going to add a list up underneath this that can scroll. So let's go ahead and do that. Or actually, well, actually, I'll leave that up to you. You can do that however you want. Maybe we'll just leave it like this so that when the user scrolls, all this information gets pushed up to the top instead of just kind of staying pinned here. So let's go ahead and add a list. And for this one, we don't need to add like a toggle because I don't really need to like my own posts or anything like that. So we'll just go into lists, and then we'll go image list. And this is a list of posts, except we're going to look, instead of all posts, we're going to look at the logged in users posts where they are the creating user. Okay. And you can sort this however you want. Maybe I wanted to do like newest to oldest, I think is probably the most common. So we'll leave it there. And then the current post, the image is going to be just the current post image. And maybe for the title, maybe I don't want a title. Maybe I just want to show that. And maybe I don't really need an icon either. But let's go ahead and make this 3 columns across here. There we go. That looks a little bit better. And then let's go ahead and make sure that this list is actually on the back of the page. So we'll grab this, kind of drag this down so that it's on the very bottom, and this list will scroll underneath this tab bar and underneath this as well, underneath the app bar. All right, so that's it for the profile page. We will link out the edit screen, and then we will also look at the viewing another profiles screen here in just a second.